Welcome to DPS Stories, the podcast dedicated to telling the stories of real DPS employees who are striving to make DPS a better and brighter place for our students. We sit down with members of Team DPS, discover who they are, how they got to DPS, and what they're doing here. This week we have a very special guest, Talya Cohen, a communications specialist with the DPS Communications team. I have the privilege of knowing her as Trail Mix Talia. So Trail Mix Talia, welcome to the show.
Hey there, Natalie. How's it going?
Hi there. It's going well. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you've been at DPS for about 3.5 years now, but before DPS, you had a very interesting job. Can you kind of tell us about your journey that got you to DPS?
Yeah, absolutely. So right after college, I went to the University of Missouri and I got a degree in journalism. Right after college, I hopped on the Nutmobile, which is a giant 26-foot long peanut on wheels. Started my journey there. And then after traveling on the Nutmobile for about a year, I ended up testing out a few different cities, and I really loved Denver. So when I came out to Denver, I had one little job, and then I started applying to different places, and I found DPS had an opening for School Communications Specialist position, in which I became after I found that listing.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. We're so happy to have you here. I certainly want to talk to you about your time on the Nutmobile, which is also very fun because we drove the Nutmobile together, so it's a little bit of a shared story. I want to talk to you about, when was the first moment that you remember seeing the Nutmobile?
Oh my gosh. So I remember actually in pictures, one of my close friends at the University of Missouri told me one day he was going to be a peanutter with the Nutmobile, and I was like, what could that mean? And at Mizzou, there was a lot of talk of the Wienermobile because that visited our school. They came to recruit students from our school every year. And so I knew of the Wienermobile, had never heard of the Nutmobile. And so my friend Matt showed me a bunch of pictures. He said, I'm driving this thing. I'm going to be a brand ambassador for them. And at first I was like, that sounds really cool. And so my senior year, I was like, let's apply for this position, more specifically the Wienermobile position because they came to visit. And then one day I got a call from Molly Klein, our supervisor, who was like, hey, I want to actually interview you for the Nutmobile. And so fast forward, did the interviews, got the job. And then I arrive at it was an airport in Wisconsin, and there to pick me up was the giant Nutmobile and a couple of the alumnuts, our alumni, Nutmobile people, and they arrived with a lot of smiles and they welcomed me on, and I remember us having a very hot drive in the Nutmobile. Sometimes it'd get a little toasty in there.
On a warm summer's day,
oh, yeah.
A roasted nut.
And so we drove from the airport about an hour away to the hotel we were staying in Madison, Wisconsin, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
What about you, Peanut? When do you remember first seeing it?
Similarly, they recruit from college campuses, as you know. So I saw the Nutmobile on the Syracuse University's campus, and I remember I had just walked out of a class. It was the winter because there was definitely snow on the ground, but with Syracuse, that could be any season. And I remember seeing this giant peanut, and at first I was walking from a class to a class. I remember seeing it, and I just remember I had the dumbest smile on my face for the rest of the day. And it was there the next day too, and I was like, okay, finally, I need to go talk to this person, see what this is about. It made my day to see this giant vehicle, how silly.
Pretty nutty.
So, totally. And so I went to talk to the peanutter at the time, and he was like, yeah, this is a real job that you can get out of college. You have to have a college degree, but it's super fun. You get to travel the United States. You get to be best friends with Mr. Peanut. It's a really cool way to get, hands-on grassroots experience with PR. And I was like, wow, maybe I didn't think at the time that it was something that I wanted to pursue, but I remember in that moment I was like, how cool is that job? It felt very Disney World-esque.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, crazy. So to people who have never seen the Nutmobile in person, can you paint us a picture of what it looks like?
Yeah. So the Nutmobile is basically a giant peanut on wheel. Like I said, it's 26 feet long, and it is made of fiberglass and pool noodles. So the pool noodles kind of give it some more texture. And it is 13,000 pounds, I believe. So a little sketchy sometimes going over bridges and stuff.
Always have to be aware.
Always got to be aware. And under bridges too.
Totally. So you kind of zoomed through the process. You interviewed, you got the job. What were the reactions of your friends and family when you told them, I'm going to become a peanutter?
Yeah, they were at first confused. Like, what is this job? Where are you going? What are you doing? I think some still struggle with understanding also like what the job meant and like what we were doing traveling to all these cities. And so everyone was confused, but then after I kind of explained it a little bit more, very excited for me. Did a little photo shoot when I found out I got the role with like bags of peanuts, and I was really excited. My friends were really excited. Family was really excited. Yeah, it was just at first like I said, very like what could this possibly be? What does this mean? And then just yeah, as soon as it came more into perspective and I started learning more about what we would be doing, it just like got really exciting, and got to bring the Nutmobile to visit my mom and visit some of my family and friends in Columbia, Missouri too, at my alma mater. So it was super fun, super cool experience. What about you?
Well, I think something that Talia is also not sharing here, and I'll brag on her behalf, is that the program at the time only had 9 peanutters. There's 9 peanutters, 3 vehicles, and they would each kind of be stationed across the United States. And so it's like a very elite thing to be one of 9 people who are a part of this program. So
yeah,
definitely.
I think there were some few thousand, 10,000, I can't remember, applicants too. So it's really cool finding out that number and being like, they chose me?
Absolutely. And then like to tell your friends and family, like, guys, no, like this isn't, I think when I told my family at first, I was a little bit nervous because I was like, I needed to take a step back and be like, no, you're allowed to have fun in a job. Because I remember I emailed some of my professors and I was like, will this set me back in my career if, I have aspirations of working in the advertising world and I don't really know what my journey would look like if I took this opportunity? And I remember I had one professor who was like, if anything, this is going to make your resume stand out. If you're one of 9 people, you're working with a historic brand, like you are going to set yourself apart from other applicants. And I feel like having that reassurance really pushed me to say yes and confirm. But obviously so happy that I did, and like what an incredible opportunity that kind of fell into our laps. But like to be one of 9, I feel like is a huge deal.
Yeah, and like to your point, it's such a different job from any other jobs you see after college too. And so really being in it gives you way more perspective about what you're going to be doing and what you're getting yourself into. But I think when you first see it, you're like, what am I about to set off on? Like, I'm going to be traveling in a giant peanut across like many states for the next year with some people I've never met in my life. Like, just crazy to really put into perspective.
I feel like it takes a lot of bravery to say yes to a journey like that. But I want to know, when you were going into training, kind of what were you most excited about? What did you feel like least prepared for?
Yeah, I think one of the things I was most excited for, and we had a lot of training prior to going into driving the Nutmobile across the country. And so what that training looked like was like learning a lot about like PR practices and how to best represent the brand. You're being a goodwill ambassador on behalf of Planters Peanuts. So like you want to put out the best foot forward in every event that you're at, in every news show that you join, like anything. And so I was most excited for like the PR aspect of it. I thought it was really cool to like learn more about that and how that applies in like real world atmosphere. And I think in like on behalf of like a huge company too, and also the greater Kraft Heinz too. I just thought that was super interesting work. We worked on press releases, and then also like reaching out to different like venues to be like, hey, like we want to bring our giant peanut to you, and we would like to, and explaining to people like what the heck this means. And so that was super fun. I think scary, definitely the driving portion of it. I think like putting into perspective, 26-foot long vehicle, and how tall is it again?
I believe it was 11 and a half feet tall.
Yeah, it's just like unlike anything I think you or I have ever driven in our lives. And so like understanding like our bounds and where to go, what to do, how to even like park it. That was something that was definitely nerve-wracking, but I remember like getting a few months in and being like, this is like driving my car around. Like
totally. You get accustomed to the proportions after a while.
Yeah.
And then also on our off days, like the Nutmobile also became your personal vehicle. So it's like if you have to go to the grocery store or if you have to run to the pharmacy, like there are certain situations where it would feel so normal to drive a car, and it's just like you have to drive the Nutmobile.
It's not the same. Oh my gosh, I remember driving it to the grocery store and being like followed by people being like they want to come see the Nutmobile. So you like have to be on at all times. Like you step out of the Nutmobile and maybe you're in your sweats ready to go to the grocery store, but you are handing out stickers and peanuts to people coming up, because this is like a once in a lifetime like viewing for a lot of people. Like the Nutmobile isn't everywhere, so when people get to see it even in a grocery store parking lot, they're so excited. So
and it's so cool, and you know, it's something that I remember thinking, I'm like, you have to keep it in perspective. Like it's always someone's first time seeing the Nutmobile, like you're saying, so it's like you have to make sure that they have a good experience and like help give a little bit of that magic to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we get too far into it, how would you describe like the job of a peanutter? What did the day-to-day schedule look like? Like what did the actual job entail once you were on the road?
Yeah, I feel like, so to begin, every single week, we would have 2 days off. So usually, or I guess Tuesday and Wednesday would usually be days off, as an example of a week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, days off, you get to do whatever you want. Usually we would spend that time sending out press releases to different just media stations in the area that we're in, just to see who wants to come interview us, who wants to come see the Nutmobile and like advertise, hey, we're in town and we want to see you. And so we'd put those out. We would typically reach out to different venues, farmers markets, little festivals happening in the area, different stores, and be like, hey, can we park our giant peanut right outside the stores? Like, we're not here to like charge you or anything. Like, we just want to hand out peanuts. That's all we want to do, and meet some people. And typically people would be like all over that. And so that's what and then on our days off too, we would like venture out, and I remember going to a lot of different national parks and doing different hikes and stuff. So that was always how we did our like Tuesday, Wednesday days off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we would typically spend, that was like our work week, and so we would drive to different events in the city that we were in, and we would just park our vehicle and hand out peanuts to people who came by, and just have conversations. We would also have Mr. Peanut there some days too, and he would take a lot of pictures with a lot of people coming by, and that was always like a fun sight to see. And then Monday was always drive day, so we would drive to different cities that we were scheduled to go to. In our time, it was a little different with kind of the nature of what was happening with COVID. And so for the most part, we got to pick our next cities, but in a typical year, like there are like big box grocery stores that are like, we're ready to have you this week. And so there's more of a path in normal years, but in our year, we kind of got to pick like, oh, we want to go to Utah. And so we drive from Denver to Utah on like a Monday, or drive from Utah to Flagstaff, Arizona the next day. So every week looked a little different.
Yeah, during 2020, it was a little bit of a different time. And so our teams had to be very cognizant of what cities had COVID restrictions versus which cities didn't. And of course, like, we never wanted to put anyone in harm's way. And so instead of going to like the large scale fairs, festivals, that sort of thing, it was a lot more like localized, like personal activities, and then also like what cities could we safely travel to and fro and all that.
Yeah. I think some of my favorite ones of those was we would have sometimes like requests from people like, hey, will you stop by little Timmy's 8th birthday party happening at our house? And we would literally just drive the Nutmobile up to like this person's address, and little Timmy would be there in his like little birthday hat, and we would pass out peanuts and stickers and just wave hi. And I think that was like some of the best like just fun social distancing like situations that we had on the road with our different events that we had.
Totally. I remember like like birthday parades were the it thing. And it's like whether or not the Nutmobile was there. Like I remember some towns, they would have like the fire department come, and it would be like cars full of your friends and like extended family or your neighbors. And so to have the Nutmobile added as an addition in that lineup like was such a fun thing for people.
I think it brought a lot of joy.
I think you might have touched on this already, but did you know the other peanutters going into this experience?
No. What was crazy was we did not, when you apply to this job, you have no idea who else is applying. I mean, it's people across the country. You have people from San Diego at schools there, or Seattle, or Syracuse, New York applying to this job. And so you have no idea who's applying and who you're going to get put with as a partner too. And so you show up to this job on day one and you have a training. You make some connections with some people like, oh, we both went to that same school, or oh, we were both in that sorority across the country from each other, like just crazy connections. And then after 2 weeks of training, you get put in a Nutmobile with two people you've never really like had more than 2 weeks with in your life. And so you don't know these people at all,
which is totally intimidating. But then at the same time, I at least found that like every single person that was chosen for the job was like the absolute perfect person, because it's like, oh my gosh, like scary, we're gonna have to live together, we're gonna have to work together, like we're going to spend every second of our time with one another. And then you talk to the other peanutter for like 2 seconds and you're like, oh, we'll be fine, like we can talk about anything, this will be great, we have so much in common, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z things.
I think that's what's so special about this job is like when they're looking for you as an applicant, they're not looking for the same like cookie cutter outgoing like person. They're looking for different types of people. So I was in the marching band in college, and that was like my entire life. But you had Miss Natalie over here as like her sorority president. You had our best friend Owen. He was a mascot. He was Goldie at the University of Minnesota. So I just feel like you don't know who you're getting put with, and all of the personalities mesh so perfectly together.
Totally. I'm like, I feel like in order to organize that lineup, geniusness was happening in the background.
Absolutely.
So cool. I know we said that we spent every minute together, and a lot of people I remember from our time on the road would say like, do you guys sleep in that thing? Can you set the record straight on where peanutters lived during their tour?
Yes. So fun fact, we did not sleep in the Nutmobile. We were actually put up at hotels everywhere we went. So we were given a stipend, and then it was kind of fun actually, because we could call up hotels and be like, hey, we are bringing a giant peanut to your hotel next week. We have this much money to offer. Can you have us? And sometimes we would be like under the typical rate that they charge, and they'd be like, a peanut at our hotel parked for the whole week, like amazing, please. And so we got to stay at some like really cool and funky hotels too, and we all got our different rooms too. And so it was really fun just living on the road and living in different homes every single week too.
Totally. When we were on the road, we would do different types of events, and kind of as we were talking about, COVID put a different lens on what some of those events looked like. And something that I thought was so fun about our time on the road was that we piloted doing the influencer ride for the most part. Can you tell me a little bit about what that journey entailed and what that looked like?
Oh my gosh, the influencer ride was crazy. We would post like the Nutmobile was in Las Vegas or LA, just different areas, and people would see that. Different influencers, singers, artists would see that and be like, I want to go into that, like whatever this is that's kooky, I want to sit in there, host a podcast in there, take pictures for my next album in there. They would do crazy things. And so I remember one time like even being in Austin, Texas, and one of my favorite artists, he's a indie artist, he posted on his story, you can name names, Talia. It's okay. His name was Shaky Grace. And
Shout out Shaky Grace.
I think his like actual name is like Alejandro. I can't remember his last name, but love him, super cool, always been a fan of him. And I saw he posted on his story a picture of the Nutmobile, and he was like, what is this doing in Austin, Texas right now? And to my surprise, I messaged him back and I was like, hey, that's my vehicle. If you want to see the inside of that, I would be so happy to show you around. And he actually responded to me, to my surprise. I mean, he's a music artist with like millions of followers, or maybe hundreds of thousands of followers. And he responded to me like pretty quickly, and he was like, when do you have time? Like, I want to stop by. Like, and he came by the Nutmobile, and we sent him like our location at our Airbnb. He stopped by, pulled up, and we showed him the inside, gave him some merch and everything, and he took some selfies with us. He videoed us talking in front of the Nutmobile. It was just kind of a crazy experience because you'll never meet these people.
Not at all that like the Nutmobile makes you a celebrity, but it kind of does. Like, you have this certain thing that people want to talk to you about, and it's like an instant connector where it's like, oh, your favorite artist, like, probably wouldn't reach out to you personally, but because you drive this giant vehicle, it was like,
they see you.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy, let's talk about it. Yeah. And so then it puts you in contact with them.
Yeah. What was your favorite artist?
My favorite was, we got to meet Mac DeMarco, who was just like the nicest, most normal human. We were in LA, and I remember, I might have been driving at the time. I think I was, yes. Because LA has so many hills, and I was white knuckling the wheel. I'm like, oh my God, these hills are crazy. And another influencer was like, oh, like, let's go pick up my friend Max. So he had no idea that we were coming. This other influencer like calls him up on the phone, tells him to come outside, and then he's like, wow, this is so cool. He's got some friends there. They like hop in the vehicle, we take our pictures, we drive around, and then suddenly he's like directing us to go to these different things to meet. Oh, we can go interrupt like this recording session with this band. Like, they're our friends, they would love this. And then suddenly you're just like, that's how your day derails in the best way. But I remember I was driving, and he is from Canada, and so we were talking about like hiking and being outdoors and camping, and I was just like, wow, is this crazy that you're like a Spotify artist and you're just in the passenger seat, and we're just yapping. Like, so cool.
Yeah.
But like totally humble, great. Yeah. And I was like, so cool. You can meet your heroes. Like, wow.
I mean, to your point, too, of just, like, meeting your heroes, too, I remember meeting Remy Wolf in San Francisco. We just picked her up, and we picked her mom, and I think her sister up, and I think we dropped her sister off at soccer practice.
I think it was a volunteering thing.
Oh, that's what it was.
I was like, this is the most wholesome activity it could have ever been.
The influencer rides were really cool.
Yeah. Then you got to, like, call your parents at the end of the day and be like, you won't believe. And they're like, who?
Yeah.
It's okay. But in addition to like having these super high highs, you also got to just like embed yourself in the community. And I remember like one of my favorite parts was doing community service. And I know that was a big priority for our team. Do you have any like moments where you weren't, it wouldn't be like a photo op moment, but do you have any of those moments where you were volunteering that really like stood out to you?
Yeah, I feel like I remember a couple of times when we were in El Paso, Texas, volunteering, and we weren't near the Nutmobile or anything. We were just volunteers. I love those days because you just get to be a part of the community and get to help out, and it really let you know the community and know who you're working with and talking to, and then afterwards they pull you aside to the Nutmobile and they're like, so tell us about your giant peanut. But I think those days of volunteering were just super cool, and it was nice to be kind of like in the weeds of it and just talking to everyone and making conversation, eating lunch with them. I know just like we used to hang out with the volunteers when we would pack lunches and pack different things too. Do you have any experiences?
I feel like I also loved, we volunteered at a food bank in El Paso, and I think that was definitely one of the highlights because it was such a big operation. Like, there were so many different volunteers there, and just to know that like the job that we were working at the time like was willing to prioritize like those moments of, no, it's okay that you set aside 6 hours today to go and volunteer. That's like, you're still doing your job, you're still being a goodwill ambassador, and it's not about like in every single moment like how many peanuts can you pass out. It's about like the connections that you make and introducing people to the brand and making sure that they have that like that fondness for it and can reflect on that moment and be like, no, these people like actually care. I think is such a powerful thing. We were in, I guess we never said this, we were in the Western vehicle, so we were everywhere from Washington, Texas, California to Wisconsin was kind of the territory that we were in. And I want to say we've visited every state, including Colorado. Do you have any moments that stand out to you from when you visited Denver?
Oh my gosh. I think so. I remember being in Denver. We stayed at this hotel in the Highlands, and I remember driving around. It was super snowy a couple of the days that we were here, and I remember walking downtown with Natalie and being like, this is like a really cool city. Like, I love that there's mountains and there's the outdoorsiness, but there's also just like the city. I got a good sense of like community living or being in Denver for that week too. I just remember everyone was so kind and so nice. Even when we weren't with the Nutmobile too, people were just very friendly, and I was like, this could be a city I live in one day, maybe. And then
Flash
also
forward.
And so I remember Natalie and I also took a trip to Rocky Mountain National Park. Once again, very snowy. And like snow was up to our knees, and we were like, we probably shouldn't be here right now.
It definitely was more of a snowshoeing occasion than a hike.
Absolutely,
but we learned.
Exactly, we did. And so it was fun, like even just getting that experience of you have like the outdoors and everything, but also you have this great community back in the big city area too. And we did a few different events. Do you remember the different types of events we did while we were in Denver?
I don't remember the specific events that we were in because I was in Denver twice.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I always confuse it with my first tour, but I remember, or not tour, but my first half partners. I remember when I was here the first time, we got to go to Red Rocks and we like worked an event. It was one of like the movie screenings, like a drive-in situation, and they were showing Celine, and I was like, this is so cool.
That's fun.
So we got to give out some things there. But I remember when we were here on the off days, we did Estes Park, we went to Rocky Mountain National Park, we went to Red Rocks. Like, I remember our off days and being like, oh my gosh, but I don't remember what we did for our work events.
Yeah, I think I remember being at like a car event.
Oh my gosh, we did so many car shows.
Yeah, we did a lot of car shows, and I think that was one of them. I think we were like out in Thornton or something at some like dealership, and
that feels right.
I remember like posing Mr. Peanut next to some cool cars. Those were always super fun.
Mr. Peanut loves cool cars.
He loves cool cars.
He loves cool cars. I've got some quick questions for you, which it's okay if they turn into longer questions. But what was your favorite snack on the road?
I loved trail mix. Shout out trail mix Talia.
Shout out trail mix Talia.
And then we also had a lot of honey roasted peanuts, so those were also great. But yeah, typically stayed pretty on brand for the snacks that we'd have.
You have to.
Yeah, you gotta. What about you, Nat?
I loved the cashews.
Oh, the cashews.
I was a cashew queen. Anytime that we had those, I was like, I will be taking one. Sorry. What question do you think you got asked the most when you were driving the Nutmobile?
I think it was always what I answered earlier, but do you sleep in this thing? It was always that, because I mean, you see a giant peanut on wheels and 3 people hanging out in it, and it's like, oh, like there must be beds in there or something. Like it's a huge truck, but we did not sleep in that.
We did not. I think the second most asked question was like, do you need a certified driver's license or like some sort of special? I remember we got that one a lot, and we're like, we were trained by the Madison Police Department. Nope, we're out here.
Yeah.
But so many people like equated it to an RV that they were like, you live in here? You have to? And we're like, no, that'd be too crazy. What song did you play the most on your drive days?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think I played a song by the Lumineers called Where the Sky is Blue. Also, there was a one that was trending at the time. I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation.
Is it the Talking Heads?
No. Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
I can't.
In my brain.
Like Dirty Heads or something like that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
But it was a song that was like very accurate
Vacation.
to our every single day of life.
Vacation, Dirty Heads.
Vacation. It was literally called Vacation.
Yeah,
and it was like they talk about how like your everyday life and your job is your vacation. I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like it was such an incredible job. What song did you play a lot?
I think I was deep in my Briston Maroney era. I loved that man. Any June, repeat.
Freaking Out on the Interstate.
Freaking Out on the Interstate sometimes was applicable.
Great song.
What was your favorite city to visit?
Favorite city to visit? I have like a little lineup. obviously Denver to start with. I ended up here, so how could it not be? Loved San Francisco. I thought it was just a really fun city. I have some family there too, so it was great seeing them. We had, fun fact, we actually had a third peanut partner.
Yeah.
His name is Danny Holton. Shout out, Macadamia. We got to hang out with his family a lot there, so it was just super fun. And like, speaking of community, it felt like just like we got really connected because his family was there and my family was there. So I just met friends of friends. We had a whole event surrounded by people like Danny knows too. So I thought San Francisco was super fun. And then I also loved El Paso, Texas. I just thought like the community was so like everyone is so tight knit in El Paso. And I loved like the just like cultural, like you got the cowboys, and then it was so fun in El Paso, Texas. Yeah, I think those are like my top 3 cities. What about you?
Oh, I loved El Paso, Texas because Danny had some family there, and so I feel like we got like the insider tour of what it was like, and we got to visit some parks, and I just feel like it has such like a rich history that it was really fascinating to kind of learn about those dynamics and the town's history and all of that.
Yeah.
I also loved Oregon when we went. I thought that was like so beautiful. We went on a few hikes there where you had, you know, the forest and the waterfalls, and
it was so
my gosh.
beautiful.
Also, Cannon Beach, I was like, wow, this
So
is crazy
pretty.
that rocks can exist in water like this in this kind of sunlight and look so stunning. And then I also liked Idaho. I feel like we briefly passed through it, and like the entire time I was just mouth agape looking out the window like, holy cow, this is stunning.
Idaho's pretty.
Yeah. What is one event that you wished you could relive?
Okay, so the one event I wish I could relive wasn't so much of an event, but it's kind of crazy. So we were in a let me give you the scene picture. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I can't remember. Do you remember how we got in touch with this like motorcycle group?
Yes.
What happened?
So once upon a time, in the first half group, I was in, I think, Rapid City, South Dakota, something, North Dakota, one of the Dakotas. And there was a man on a motorcycle. His name was Lightning, is what he told me. And I was talking to him, and I was like, oh, your bike is cool. Tell me about it. We get to chatting, and he hands me this like little token. It looks like a poker chip. And he was like, if you guys ever come, we were also with the Wienermobile at the time, but he was like, if the Nutmobile or the Wienermobile ever comes to Las Vegas, like, this is my motorcycle group, contact us. And so when we were actually in Denver, because I think we went to Las Vegas like later on, but I remember writing this email in my little hotel room, and I was like, dear Lightning, hi, my name is Peanut. We met in South Dakota. Please, our team is coming to Las Vegas. If you actually like wanted to host an event with the Nutmobile, like, please let us know. And then I got a response from a man named Picasso, who was the motorcycle group's leader,
All the
president.
fun names.
I think, yes, they all have nicknames. And I was like, I want a nickname. But he reached back out and he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, let's set up a time, and then we'll give you like a tour of Vegas. We'll escort you guys down the strip. And I believe his nickname was Picasso because he formerly worked in advertising and would produce like videography, do commercials. And so I think that is how it got set up.
That's how it got set up.
Yes.
Okay, so that was important backstory for what we're about to get into. Natalie got in touch with this guy named Picasso, and then we get out to Las Vegas, and one day I'm told, hey, we're going to do this event where it's not really an event. It's more so we're just going to drive behind a group of motorcyclists in the Las Vegas, Nevada desert area and just film with them for the day. And I was like, what does that mean? We pull up to this like old ranch. I have no idea where we were. Maybe we drove like an hour away from Las Vegas. We were far. And we're in the middle of nowhere. It's really beautiful. It's desert lands. You have lakes, ponds, like everywhere too. What are we doing right now? And then we just spend the entire day listening to music, posing Mr. Peanut outside the Nutmobile behind different lakes with this like motorcycle group. It was really cool.
It was so cool. They were nice as can be. And I remember we like met at their clubhouse first. That was our starting point. And then they actually recruited, I remember this so vividly, they recruited a member of like, not a rival motorcycle gang, but like a different motorcycle group. And they're like, this guy's got the drone. And so they recruited someone to come like get drone footage of like the Nutmobile driving, I don't know if it's in front of or behind the motorcycle guys, but they did their formation and they like included the Nutmobile in it. And then they took us to the ghost town.
Yes,
where
that's where we were.
It was like a ghost town where they had filmed old Western movies, I believe is the lay of the land. And so there's like an old saloon, there's just equipment that's outside that like would be found in an old Western. And we were just like, okay, and this is our job for the day.
Yeah.
Like, strange, but here we are.
So cool. I remember posing near murals like at the end of the day too. The day went on for like a really long time, I remember, but like I remember being so happy about it because it was just so different and so kooky from like anything else we had done yet.
Yeah, we like were in the ghost town and then we went back downtown and they're like, let's escort you down the strip, and then Mr. Peanut is posing and all that stuff.
Yes, that was crazy.
So funny. Is there anything you regret not doing when you were in this job?
You know, I mean, I feel like with this job, you just don't know what you're going to get into when you begin. And so in terms of regrets, I feel like I did more than I even expected to do at all. Just because, yeah, like I said, you have no idea what any day is going to look like. And so from venturing to national parks to volunteering at different community organizations to pulling up to random people's houses for their 8th birthday party, like you just don't know what you're going to get yourself into. And I think that's the best part of the job, is just all of the unknowns. So I feel like I did more than I could have ever even asked to. What about you?
I feel the same way, and I feel like I remember being in the job and having the sense that like, oh, our time on the road is ending, and being like, we need to make the best of every single moment. Like, if we only have this job until May or June or whatever it was, like needing to squeeze in every possible bit of fun that we could. And so I feel like I'm very at peace with how that journey went. But like knowing we had so much fun from when it started to when it finished was just like
every day.
Yeah, every day was something different. And I remember I tried to keep a journal to make sure I could like remember every single thing about it. But of course, it was not an everyday activity. But the bits that I did write down, I'm like, wow, how could I forget meeting little Jimmy on his 8th birthday? Or like we once, I think this was with my first half partners, but like we once met the oldest woman in Utah, or maybe, I don't know, but like she was so sweet, and just like having those not small interactions by any means, but like having those more like one-to-one conversations with people was such a beautiful part of this job for me. If you had to describe your tour in 3 words, how would you describe it?
I'd say fun, exciting. It's very similar words. Community.
Oh,
yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
Emphasis N-U-T.
Community.
We love it. Do you remember thinking to yourself, like, I have the coolest job ever?
Yeah. I was like, how could it get better than this? Like, it was, like I said, I was playing that song like literally every day in the Nutmobile. Like, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Like, it was just crazy. Like I said, no 2 days looked the same. And I loved the people I was with too. My coworkers were incredible. So I was like, this is the best job ever.
Especially right out of college, I feel like so many entry-level jobs are so structured and so like micromanaged in a sense. And I feel like because we were in this specific time where COVID is happening, it really altered the expectations and the roles in this job, that it was like, we have the creative freedom to do more volunteering or to pitch these like influencer rides or to do a Meals on Wheels route at a local community or like at that local community level. And I think that was one of the things that like I held so near, as I keep in touch with some former college friends who are like, oh yeah, I'm working a 9 to 7 kind of job, like I'm really trying to make it in the world. And for us to be like, yeah, so we got to hang out with motorcycle people today, like that was our day.
It's just crazy.
It's just so, yeah.
And to your point about like we really were trained for 2 weeks, and then they were like, now be free. And that was our lives. Every single day was like really counting on our partners and our team to just a situation came up, how do we work through this together? We need a new city, we need a new venue to be at, and it was always like kind of brainstorming together, putting our heads together and figuring that out ourselves, which I feel like you don't get in like a lot of you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that and a lot of jobs. So it was really cool just kind of being out there, especially after being in your like college for 4 years, college town, where you've gotten to know so many people, everywhere to go, how to drive the streets like the back of your hand, to then you're just kind of set out in the country to just literally navigate the streets by yourself and two other people who just graduated college. So it's just a whole new experience.
Totally. I would love to know more about like what you would consider your hardest day.
I feel like hardest days weren't per se like hard. They were just long days. I feel like because we were in the West. So first half, like you mentioned, I was kind of in like the central/east part of the U.S., so everywhere from Wisconsin to South Carolina to Georgia, kind of that area, Tennessee. And so drive days would take us like 2-3 hours to do, and we'd get to city and get to relax, get to catch up on work emails and do our things that we needed to do. But when we were in the West, I just remember having crazy long drive days where we would be driving from, San Francisco up to Oregon, and then the next week, Portland, Oregon, all the way to Missoula, Montana. Or, for instance, I remember being in El Paso, and there was a snowstorm that hit all of Texas, and a majority of Texas's like power lines, everything was just down, and a lot of gas stations weren't getting gas too, and we had to be in San Antonio the next week too. So we ended up having to stay in El Paso for an extra week, and then we made, I think, like a 12 to 15 hour trek from El Paso to San Antonio for one night, and then continued on to Dallas the next day. But I just remember like stopping at gas stations and there being lines and lines of cars waiting to fill up their gas, and they were just long days, some of those days.
Totally. I remember when we were driving, I can't remember where we were driving to and where we were driving from, but I think we were in the Oregon, Idaho area, and we were stuck in traffic, I swear, for like minimum 5 hours from that one incident because like a logging truck had flipped over. And it was just such unforeseen circumstances that everyone is parked on the highway. You're just like popping out of the top of the Nutmobile's hatch just to be like, all right, we're still here. Like, what can we do to make the best of this situation? And I think you were very prone to breaking out your ukulele that you had in the back and just being like, all right, well, might as well entertain ourselves in some way.
Well, do you remember grabbing like our stash of peanuts too? And like, I mean, everyone was at standstill. There was no moving. And we got out of the peanut and we started passing out peanuts to all the truckers around us. That was so fun. I remember Danny like making conversation with one of the truckers nearby too. And it was so funny because
another day in the life.
Hours. Just another day in the life.
So silly. What kind of connections did you make in this role?
So many. I mean, everything from like the coworkers that I didn't know to now are like some of my best friends. We would travel and meet a lot of our like peanut partners' families. So like I mentioned before, Macadamia, we met his family in El Paso. We hung out with them. We did karaoke nights with them, to even meeting up with our friend Owen's dad in Malibu, California. He took us out to dinner one night at a beautiful restaurant, and that was super fun. So we met like a lot of like coworkers, friends, and family, and it was so crazy going from like I don't know this person to like now I'm like best friends with their cousins and their dads.
We're having dinner with Ed.
Yeah.
You know?
It was so casual and it was so fun. And I mean, even making like connections with like different, like I said, like community members, like company owners. I remember going to like a brewery, I think in Utah, and setting up our Nutmobile outside the brewery and doing an event there, and then coming in and like meeting Mr. Zwinkles, which was a cat like just a bar cat, and I fully follow like his little Instagram account, and he like messages some
Shout out Mr. Zwinkles.
Shout out Mr. Zwinkles. Just some like random people you never expect to meet, but like random in the best way possible. Like some of the best connections I feel like I'll ever make.
And I think it's such a interesting program because there's not many people who have done it. And since the time that we drove the Nutmobile used to be owned by Kraft Heinz, but has it's since been acquired by Hormel Foods. And so the program does look a little bit different now. I believe they have 3 peanutters at a time, but like it's still so cool to say like you're a part of this like larger planter's legacy, and that like we know some of the people who drove the vehicle before us, we know some of the current peanutters. Like there is this sense of community, and that like nobody else really knows what it feels like to be on the road for that amount of time, to be representing this brand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so like you get to have these conversations with other people, and it like instantly feels like family, and you get to be like, oh my gosh, I remember when we were on the road, like we were feeling like this, like how are you right now, like what do you, if they, like we had some peanutters that came to Denver not too long ago that we were able to like run into and say hi to and just kind of like talk to them about their journey. And it's so like refreshing but also nostalgic to see like what they were doing, how they were feeling, and I don't know, it's just like such a cool thing to be like, oh, I feel like a big sister to these people who are in the program at this time.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see like how far we've come from like testing out all these different cities and living in different places to like finally like moving to them and like building like a life and a community around like our work and our friends and relationships. And it's just so cool to then look back and see like how far we've come. And like you lived in Nashville before this, and then you came out to Denver too. Just like having that opportunity to test out different places, I feel like that's really what this job instills, is like making connections in different communities and in different places, and then deciding where do I want to be. Maybe I want to test out a few different places and see what these different cities have to offer. And I love that it gave us that chance to really do that and decide like, hey, I want to move to Denver, Colorado.
Yeah. What do you think is a lesson that you learned as a peanutter that you now have carried into your role as communication specialist with Denver Public Schools?
I think one thing I really learned is, I remember something that they told us was like one thing is like you're on at all times. And you're on at all times, I feel like means like just like be a good person. And so in the context of the Nutmobile, you know, it meant you are representing this brand at all times. Like be nice, be cordial, hand out peanuts, have the conversation with the person. And I feel like I've really taken that into my everyday life and also into my current job, is like you just always like remember to like be kind and I don't know, treat everyone with like just kindness, and greet everyone with kindness too, because you never know who you're gonna meet. You don't know who's, you know, maybe not having a great day or who's having the best day of their life, but like just talking to everyone and making those connections. If you are out driving across the country, or if you are just within like the DPS community, it's just like making those connections, talking to all those principals, those students, your coworkers, and yeah, I think that's something that the Nutmobile super taught me. And then also just having fun with your job. I think it's really important. And
core value of fun. Let's go.
Value, yeah. I think that's really important to remember, like in our jobs as school communications specialists, is like every day sometimes you'll be hit with more serious matters, and sometimes you'll be hit with like, make a funny TikTok reel about the lost and found right now. Shout out Cheltenham Elementary School. But it's the days like that, like you just don't know what you're gonna be hit with, and so just treating everything with fun and kindness and respect, I think the Nutmobile super taught me. And yeah, what about you, Nat?
I think very similar. Like I loved being on the Nutmobile for the sense of like magic that it instills in you. It's like how it's someone's first time seeing the Nutmobile, but also like as a representative of this brand, like you get to determine how the day goes. Like make sure that you're talking to people, chatting with them, like seeing who they are, seeing how you connect. Like I feel like the connections were truly like the best part, because I don't know, like the Nutmobile is the greatest conversation starter that you'll ever have. And even now, I'm like, it's still so cool to like work in our professional setting and be like, oh, trail mix Talia. Like, I know her from this. And I get to see like the work that you do now and like the way that you connect with people. Every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, that's my girl. Like, look at her go. Like the way that you connect with your principals or the ways that you connect with your students, I feel like is so inspiring. And I'm like, I loved seeing you as a peanutter, and I loved seeing you now because I'm just like, you're still the same person through and through no matter what the job is, you know?
Oh, thanks,
but
Nat.
I don't think that answered your question, but I've lost that train of thought. So,
well, right back at you.
What are your favorite aspects of your role as a communication specialist now?
Oh my gosh, to say like this role hasn't been my favorite out of college would be just wrong. This is like one of the best, besides for the Nutmobile, I'd say like this is one of the best jobs I think I've like ever have, maybe will ever have, besides for the Nutmobile. I think that was really fun too. But I mean, I feel like this community, I know I talk about community so much, but I just think within DPS it's just so important how everyone kind of lifts each other up, between my coworkers to my principals to the students. I think just everyone's there for each other. It's not so much like a corporate cutthroat situation. It's more so like everyone is here to like help students and to support students, to have them learn and grow, and to just be reminded that we're all here for like the same mission and we hold the same values, I think is amazing, because I feel like I'm reminded that like every single day with the people that I meet. I feel like I'm greeted with so much kindness and gratitude for the work that I do too. I love working with the students and all my coworkers and my department and the schools, and then I also just love like walking around, taking videos, taking like photos within the schools, and then also like helping my principals like write out communications and plan out like what is school choice gonna look like and how do we like attract more students and like find our new students for our schools. So I think like just every single aspect about this role has been so much fun, and I've learned so much from everyone and everything that I've done. So, yeah.
Gold star. So knowing, you brought up students, knowing that students could see this and hear about your experience on the Nutmobile and being a peanutter, what advice would you give them if they were looking to apply in a post-college setting?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about this role is like, oh, like, I haven't done anything cool enough, or I am quiet, or I'm shy, something like that. I think that's like a big misconception, is if you've got like any of those qualities or something, you can't do this. But like, that's not true at all. Something like, I knew I was big into marching band, and I loved supporting like the marching band and playing in it and helping it out. I was part of like a service sorority in it, but I was like, you know, what qualities do I have that would be great for the Nutmobile? Like, I don't know how that equates. And so I think my own misconception was like, oh, I'm not cut out for it. I don't know like that I can do this. Like, it's just 3 people in one Nutmobile. Like, how would I get chosen? And like, my biggest like suggestion is just like, go for it. Whenever you see something like this, like an opportunity like this comes your way, or you even just like, you just heard about this just now, like, check it out. Like search where to apply for it and just check it out. If you're graduating from college, or you're just in, I think like the 20s to 30s range, like, apply, send that resume over, because you never know what might happen. I never expected to be in this role or in the Nutmobile role whatsoever. So my biggest suggestion is just go for it.
Yeah. Other people can tell you no, but you can't tell yourself no. Like, exactly. You owe it to yourself to try.
Exactly.
I am here to confirm that the peanutter application is open until February 14th. So you do need to be a recent college graduate to apply. But obviously the opportunity comes highly recommended. Talia, can you confirm or deny the relationship between the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile and the Planters Nutmobile.
I can confirm that the relationship between the Wienermobile and the Nutmobile, like, everyone is friends. So there, I feel like there's this, that's another question that we get actually asked a lot is, do you beef with the Wienermobile? Like, do you guys brawl? We're like besties. Under Kraft Heinz, before there was like the switch from Planters moving over to Hormel, the peanutters and the hot doggers would actually get trained together in a 2-week training called Hot Dog High and Peanut Prep. And we'd learn to drive our vehicles around together, like in the same parking lot by the same trainers. And then when we would go out in the world, we would sometimes find out that we're in the same city and actually like book a whole Airbnb together and hang out and like stay for a week in that together. So we were like all like besties.
Well, Trail Mix Talya, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of DPS Stories. And thank you so much for listening to this episode as well. Please remember to like and subscribe to our show to never miss an episode. And we'll catch you next time on DPS Stories.